There won't be any witty banter.
Oh, okay. I mean, maybe just a little, maybe just a little bit.
Which one of us actually has any wit?
Well, I think I'm a half wit, and you're a half wit, and together we could put our halves together and get a whole wit.
Yeah, but what if wit is not one of those qualities that accrues like that? I mean, what if do you know about that? I think Freudian concept of attachment, where like disgust and interest in a thing, one's disgust at the object of attachment doesn't subtract from one's interest, right? Disgust can actually, it can heighten attachment to an object because I don't know, what's an example? Like it can happen with works of art. You know, you see a painting that's like a little bit repulsive. I mean, if we're talking about, I don't know, something like nude descending a staircase. See something that's a little bit disgusting, a little bit repulsive, but also you're weirdly attracted to it, right? If wit is anything like that, then we might just be two half wits here, not a whole wit.
This is John Ling. He played drums on one of the tracks on my upcoming album, Pictures at an Inhibition, coming out on the 30th of April. And we're having a conversation about art and wit and Freud, and so far it's going well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I really like your recording setup here. You seem to have a really good video camera. Clearly, also the microphone is nicer than just than what I'm using. But yeah, the video camera looks great.
Yeah, I didn't want to rub it in or anything. But yeah, I it's just the built-in webcam on my laptop. So I guess that's the good.
I get maybe it's your lighting or something that's
Mm,
looking better than yeah yeah. There we go. Yeah.
yeah,
Can you
it's
just stay
that
like that?
I could try. I could try. Yeah, it's my east-facing window, and we're getting some indirect light through it, I think.
Yeah, you look good in Eastern light.
You've always said that.
I have.
A couple people have said northern light, which I don't get. Like I guess like the northern lights, like green, but I don't see it.
Nope. Nope. Northern light can just be so overabundant.
Hmm.
I mean, ask anyone from Alaska,
Ugh, they're
but
sick of
don't
it.
because because why would you want to talk to someone from Alaska?
I don't know. They don't count, right?
No,
They're like
no,
so like where even is Alaska?
no. They don't count as like a legitimate anything.
No, I don't think so.
As soon as DC becomes the 51st state, we're gonna nix Alaska
Yeah,
definitely.
we definitely I think just design wise, 50 stars is spot on. I don't 50, can you imagine 51 stars? That's no, that can't work.
And the songs that we would have to change.
That's true. All of the ones that mention specifically 50 states.
And there's that one song that literally lists all 50
It does.
by name. There might be more
Um,
than one song that does that.
yeah, I think we're done. I think that's the strongest argument to not either not including any more states or including states and getting and dropping a few.
Yeah.
I think here's what I think. We bring in DC. Yeah. We bring in Puerto Rico. We drop Alaska and we drop maybe Iowa, right? Like I don't know anything that happens there.
I support that wholeheartedly. Supposedly Iowa is some kind of, I don't know, agriculture. Like I, I've
Mm,
I've I've heard this term, the breadbasket of America. Have you heard that term?
breadbasket of America. It rings a very faint bell. But surely we have other states that do that same thing.
Yeah. And you know what I like about this dropping Alaska proposal, which
Mm,
I'd never thought of, but I like this, is that it would make our country something of a donut. Um,
yes.
and that's just that's a shape that is totally underutilized in country design. It would be important not to let Iowa do anything. Like once we get rid of it, Iowa can't go and become like its own country or
No,
something. No, no,
no.
no. It just has to be a void.
Yes. Just an agricultural void where nothing
Yeah,
happens.
which it already basically is, except that it kind of legally is a state. But
Like we own it, but it's like a property that we've been meaning to fix up for a while and just haven't gotten to.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
honestly, we could just kind of let it go and it kind of fall apart and it'd be fine. I mean, that's what's happening already, probably. I don't know.
Right. If we do the cost benefit breakdown on keeping Alaska on the upkeep, I said Alaska, but hey, but we're
Them
getting there,
too.
right?
Them too. We're
Them
getting there.
too. If we do the math on the upkeep of Iowa, it's just we're not getting any return on investment.
No, because I know like one thing you'll hear a bunch is like if California was its own country, it would have like the eighth largest economy in the world. Where's Iowa? Where on that list is the upkeep involved? Really, are we seeing returns on that investment? I
I
don't
mean,
know.
is corn a return? Is corn an economy?
I mean, we got plenty of other corn states, I feel.
Corn is kind of passe anyway.
Yeah, yeah, it gets a little old after a while. You can't
Yeah.
even it goes right through you. It doesn't change. And I think it's fair to say that I'm saying all this about Iowa with no actual knowledge, but I feel very strongly about everything I've said. Now a little bit about you, John. You have lived in as a child in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Sin City, as they call it. So I was wondering when the last time you sinned was.
Probably when I was about 7,
Wow.
because shortly thereafter I discovered morality,
Hmm.
and which is a pretty cut and dry thing. I think once you know it, it's a bit like riding a bicycle for me. Once
Huh.
once you're on that, once you've got that balance of morality and you understand it, then you don't lose it. So I stopped sinning once I discovered what right was and what wrong was and
Hmm.
why I ought to be right. So yeah, and I'm pretty sure the last sin I committed was gluttony. Uh, the details of which I don't need to go into, but suffice it to
Oh.
say, I've been sin free for a solid 19 years of my life.
Hey, congrats, man. Where did you find morality? Where was it?
It was in me. It was in my heart.
The whole time?
Yeah,
It was inside of you all along?
yeah.
Wow.
Imagine that. Imagine just being born with it
That's crazy.
and not knowing. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit like being pregnant, but not knowing it,
Mm,
because it was in me, and I think it was growing. I think it was growing in me,
sure.
and then it got to a point where I could no longer ignore it, and I was like, okay, it's time to be moral.
That's it. So at 7, it just like burst out.
Yeah, I think
Wow.
that's the gestation period, 7 years.
7 years. Okay. I think it might be longer from person to person.
Fair.
Just, I mean, I also haven't sinned in a long time. So we're on the same page about that.
May I ask, what was your last sin?
Oh gosh. Oh man. I'd have to, let's see. I gotta really go back here, in my mind. Ah, gosh. Probably, I think I was like 6.5, just a little younger than you were. I've always been kind of a fast learner.
Yeah,
Um, it was at my 6.5th birthday party, and there was this kid with a balloon. I had the big 6 balloon, and he had the big 1/2 balloon, and I wanted both of them because I was 6.5, not just 6. So I thought it was unfair. So I took his balloon. It was like a couple minutes after that I heard this loud voice reverberating in my skull saying that was wrong, and I went, whoa, thank you. Now I knew, where right and wrong was. So I gave the kid back the 1/2 balloon, and I just kind of said, from now on, that's it. It's just doing the right stuff from now on.
Bravo.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to pat yourself on the back about that
That
sort
would
of
be
thing.
rather immoral.
Oh, yes, it would be. Oh, I don't dabble in hypocrisy. So it's just, it's just right. That's all. That's all there is to it. So I'm glad we're on the same kind of path, the two of us. I think that's why we vibe so well. Now, you do drums.
That's right.
How does that work?
Oh, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't work?
It doesn't.
I mean, I thought it sounded pretty convincing on Living Someone Else's Dream, which is the track
Well,
that you played it on.
yeah. I mean, this is you we're talking about.
Oh.
These are your tastes, and that's what you think sounds good. I'm afraid that the drum thing is just not working. I mean, so far I have not solved the problem that to get a sound I have to hit them. Um,
Mm,
I'm still hitting them. It's
yeah.
this totally like primordial act. It's just downright Neanderthalic.
Yeah.
Um, and so
Violent.
it's outright violent. It's
Yeah.
damn near immoral. And I also haven't solved the problem that the beat seems to make the immorally inclined want
Mm.
to dance, and that can lead to so many dangerous things that I've spent so much of my life fighting against, like
Dirty dancing.
dirty dancing. That could lead down a road
I'd rather not even think about that.
to sex.
D-
So these are the problems that I'm facing right now as a drummer. Basically the fact that technically I can't play the damn thing without hitting it.
mhm.
And second of all, like there's all these moral issues that arise, which
True.
put me in this weird position where I'm like in danger of corrupting society. So to answer your question, is it working the drums? No, it's not working.
Hmm. Have you I as a so I'm a new music composer. So that's one of the things I do. So I just had a thought. What if you tried bowing them? So rather than hitting the drums, you take like a cello bow or something of the sort, and just try kind of mm, just kind of bowing them instead of just whacking them like a medieval peasant. Like just it's a little bit more refined, it seems. I don't know. Your thoughts?
I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I
Yeah,
gotta try that.
give that a go. Because I know you sometimes post short videos of yourself playing the drums on your Instagram, and usually I scroll right past so as not to be corrupted by your rhythms. But I think if I saw a thumbnail where you're doing some things with the bows, I could get on board with that. It's a little more atemporal, a little less groovy. That I could get into that, but not in like a sexy way.
No, no, not with any enthusiasm, just with contemplation.
Yes,
Uh,
like an
uh,
intellectual, logical contemplation.
yes, a
Yeah.
totally a stance of rationality,
Mm-hmm.
a stance of objectivity. Yes, you could get into that. I think Boeing. I think Boeing is cool. You can do the thing where it's like this one is 10 o'clock and this one is 2 o'clock, and then
Just kind of driving around a little bit,
yeah,
going on a little road trip
yeah.
musically. That's cool. Yeah, I wish you luck in your future kind of drum discoveries because I could see how that would be a thorny issue. You're in an ensemble called Hearsay.
That's right.
Hearsay. Yeah. Here the it's I because just for people's edification, it's the word hear as in listening with one's ears, Hear, and then there's what is it, a backslash,
Oh, it's vertical. It's
it's
a
a
vertical
vertical,
line. Yeah,
a vertical line. Wow. Okay, so here, as in what we do with our ears, Hear, vertical line or dash, and then say. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. That's the one with the Y at the end. Say
yeah.
like speaking. How's how's that? How's that going?
Not much better than the drums. We haven't been able to play due to the pandemic.
Mm,
Um, we can't safely play together. We've done very little, which is tantamount to just complete failure.
yeah.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now, and I think we may have irretrievably failed. We may be the Iowa of new music.
That was the question I really wanted to ask. Like, you're done, right? Kind of thing. But I wanted to hear you say it.
Well, there it is.
Well, shucks, because you did some good stuff back in the day, and you did this one video with our good friend Nee, a pianist from Stony Brook, where you made this whole kind of paper art video to go along with your composition. So that was a lot of effort for nothing.
Yeah, talk about my whole life story.
How did you go about making that whole video?
I set up a little board and I put down a piece of poster board. I'm not even sure if poster board is the right word. It's this kind of thick. It's more like cardstock, I think. Put
Okay.
down this big piece of cardstock, and I set up my phone on a stand, a little phone stand, and then I took a whole bunch of construction paper and started cutting up the construction paper into little shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would arrange the shapes on the background of cardstock, and with my phone set up looking to look down over the whole scene and start photographing it. Then I would basically string the photographs together in it's not iMovie, it's the one that's it's Final Cut. String the photos together to form essentially an animation, and I would get that synced up with the music, and yeah, that's how the process went.
Wow. That must have taken a while.
Oh yeah, I have only regrets. Let me tell you.
And I guess you had nothing else going on at the time.
Oh yeah, that's what happens when you're not getting called for gigs and you're not really a person with productive or useful capabilities.
Mm.
Just cut up paper.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
You're no stranger to visual art. I remember you would do kind of posters for composition concerts. How far back does your lackluster career in visual art, how far back does that go?
It goes far. I used to draw a lot when I was a kid, and it
Hmm.
was a it was maybe my favorite thing to do. I would go to school and doodle, as many kids do, and I would then come home, and my dad would bring home from work stacks of waste paper, basically where there were just a bunch of calculations. So my dad was an engineer.
Hmm.
He's now retired, but he was a civil engineer, and so I guess back in those days, computing was sort of half analog based still, in that there's like they're still producing a lot of paper from whatever kind of calculations they're doing. So he'd bring home these big stacks of paper. All of these papers would have just a bunch of numbers on one side of them only, and on the other side they'd be blank. And I'd draw on the paper. I'd draw all kinds of things, like airplanes, cars, houses, cities. One thing I didn't like to
Hmm.
draw was human figures, really, because that struck me as too difficult,
Sure.
and I never really figured out how to do that in a way that looks realistic. So I tended to avoid human figures. Maybe that was my great weakness. Maybe that was the chink in the armor,
Hmm.
that precipitated my now great failure as an artist. Because good artists can draw figurative stuff, and they can be super precise about it.
Totally.
But yeah, I like to draw lots of mechanical objects, like I said, planes and stuff. And I did that a lot when I was a kid. I did that a lot. It was the first thing I would do when I came home from school.
Nice. I am also no great success story when it comes to visual art, but I think I grew up somewhat similarly, where I was doing a lot of drawing even before I ever got into the music thing. But instead of drawing more mechanical things, I would draw like monsters and weird creatures. And I think it was another situation where I didn't know anything about anatomy or how bones fit together or musculature or any of that stuff. But I could kind of explain all that away by just going, well, it's a weird alien monster thing. Like it, of course its leg bends that way. Like, sure. And it's something that I've done less of as music has become more and more important. But it's still something I return to every once in a while. And especially, when you have nothing else to do, sometimes you find yourself just putzing around with a pencil and some paper and making something that's, eh.
One must putz.
You got to putz.
You
You got
gotta
to putz.
putz from
We've
time to time.
certainly had time to putz, time to reflect, and time to putz.
The two kinds of time.
Yeah, putzing time and reflecting time. Those are the two times. Can you hear a bit of French horn in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's. I live in a household of musicians. I don't know. I don't know if you have any familiarity with that.
I wonder how it feels for you to be surrounded by people who are not failures in the way that you are.
Oh gosh, it's daunting on occasion when I hear them make sounds that are good, and then I'm just over here. I One kind of blessing is that my roommates who play music good have an office where they do most of that good stuff on the opposite side of the apartment. So when I want to do my bad musicking, I'm able to just kind of do it a little bit quieter in my room on the other side of the apartment so that they can't hear me and audibly laugh on the other side of my door. So that's been kind of nice. The layout has been a blessing for sure. I know you have a drum set up in the basement, probably for the same reasons.
Right. Because of the possibility of ridicule and
Mm-hmm.
just the ever present aura of shame.
Yeah,
For those reasons, I try to get as far beneath ground level as I can with my artistic practice,
sure.
just to yeah, to shield myself to a certain degree from the humiliation of being of sounding the way I sound.
Mm,
It's a bit like the logic, and here's where my Nevada upbringing comes up. It's a bit like the logic of building underground nuclear bomb shelters,
sure.
right? Because the fallout of public opinion can be just devastating and radioactive, and to shield oneself, one has to dig down.
I mean, it can really soak into your bones,
Yeah.
the sort of radioactive ridicule you're discussing. How deep would be ideal for you in the ground? Like if you could pick your ideal depth for your musical practice, about where?
Okay, so picture the Earth,
Mm.
spherical thing.
Are we looking
Now,
at are we looking at like the half section?
oh, that would be great. Yeah, picture the
Yeah.
half section of the Earth.
Yeah.
Now picture the Iowa point in there.
Just a
Do
void.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like if Iowa was like down, if like the US just kind of became concave at Iowa and
yeah,
just went down and then became a donut on the other side.
yeah. What we're talking about is not even Euclidean. My ideal place to practice drums would be so far out of the confines of space time that I would be like I would be activating some other dimensions. That's for sure.
Sure, sure. So we can't even visually comprehend how bad you are.
No, you can't.
Wow. How many times have you seen Penn and Teller live?
None.
None. Oh, because they have like the Las Vegas show that they do all the time.
Yeah, but I'm not a sinner.
Oh, is magic a sin?
Magic is very sinful.
Hmm. Is someone just whistling in the background?
No, that's a siren.
Oh, okay. Because on my end, like only some frequencies came through. I thought someone was just walking down the hall whistling a happy tune.
I mean, that's kind of what it is when someone's driving around with a siren, right? It's just like,
Just a
oh
happy little
look,
tune.
it's a happy little tune. It's a beautiful day. I'm just gonna go on a little jaunt.
I mean, there are definitely times where I think I hear the ice cream truck coming down the road and I run out and then it's just a big fire truck. And they hand out fire. If you ask them really nicely in the back, they have some.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, why do you think it's so long? Like it's got a lot of space in the back.
Oh, makes sense now. They have to have room for the fire that they hand out.
Exactly. So they drive up. They got their hands at 10 and 2. They're driving to the four alarm fire, 5 alarm fire. I don't know what the alarm system means, but they show up where there's the fire, and then they get their big fire bags, and then they go into the house and they kind of start with their big gloves. They start kind of taking the fire, putting the fire in these big fire bags, wrapping them up, and then they got like a cinch at the top so the fire can't come back out, because the last thing you want to do is spill the bag and have the fire kind of fall out of there. And then they take these big bags. They're not actually that heavy because fire is relatively light, even if you pack a lot of fire in there. And then they kind of take the bags, throw them in the back, kind of Grinch steals Christmas style. And then they're just kind of driving along. And if they're playing a happy tune on their siren, you can come out and I think they just give out the fire. It's not even like you have to have like a couple quarters or something. They're just gonna flush it when they get back anyways. So it's like might as well hand it out to the kiddos or me.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't understand why I haven't caught on to that and taken advantage of it, but definitely next time there's a fire, I'm all over that. I'm gonna flag down a fire truck. I'm gonna be like a dog chasing after a car.
You do have to kind of get in front of the truck because sometimes they're going really fast, and
Okay.
if you're just like alongside of it, they won't see you. So you kind of have to hear them coming a ways off and kind of get in the road and be like, hey, 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 I want some fire, please. Otherwise, they may not slow down.
Is it more effective if you surprise them and if you like wait until they've built up some speed and then just like jump out at the last possible moment?
Yeah, that tends to work pretty well. You do run a small risk of getting run over, but the more surprised they are and the more sudden the stop, the more likely they are to listen to what you have to say. Yeah, it's a balance. It's a real balancing act. You get it wrong once and you learn. You learn kind of the timing after that.
You look
Um,
like someone who's gotten it wrong a couple times.
a couple times. The first time was bad, and then the second time, you get a little bit cocky. You get a little bit cocky where you're like, okay, I learned my lesson. I've been doing it well the last 5 or 6 times. I got it down, but you have to account for the season. You gotta account if there's a little bit of slush, a little bit of black ice on the road. You gotta think, okay, maybe the timing, maybe I need to rethink this. But I dashed out as cocky as can be. And yeah, I got run over that second time. And the second time's the hardest because it's not only you've gotten run over by a fire truck, it's I did it. I did this to me. You blame yourself. You really do the second time. You got no one else to blame. You can't even blame your inexperience because like, no, I should have known better, you know.
Gosh.
Do you have any questions for me, John?
I have a question. I'm just trying to formulate it in my head.
Mm.
Um, why write songs? Why? I mean, there are good reasons for other people to write songs who are good at it,
Yeah.
but for you, why?
Yeah. I think it's kind of a masochistic thing deep down where I like I know. Like I know. I know I know I'm no good. I know this album coming out on April 30th to Bandcamp and various streaming platforms. I know it's not good. At least what I did on it. I think some of the people I brought on were pretty good at what they did. But I don't know. I think I kind of like putting that out there and getting the flack, you know? That's something I've kind of been thinking about and mulling over my head, but I just keep coming back to it. I don't know what it is. I put the songs out there and everyone comments, "This is terrible. You should stop and give up." But that just fuels me. I mean, it's kind of that martyr complex too, I think, where it's like everyone's trying to keep me down, even though we're all on the same page. But it just lights a little fire under my butt to keep going and just keep pissing people off, I think.
Okay, that almost sounds like something noble or but it's not. But
No, 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 no. I don't want
it,
people
it
out there thinking that I'm doing something noble in any way. No, no.
okay. Well, now I know.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, playing drums badly on my bad song. I mean, I don't know why you did that really.
Misery loves company.
Yeah, it does. Well, Misery, thank you for being my company on this fine day. If you want to check out John Ling, um, there will probably be some links and stuff below or whatnot. Thank you, John, for the chat.
Thanks for having me, David. Take care.
Take care.